Harrison recorded this video about the expectations of designers working at Numi, which he shared a little bit just now. It was amazing, right? Like 14 killer points of how to be a AAA designer.
I think the video, funny enough, was actually...
Your website has half a second to make a good first impression, and you only have one shot. How you design has to comply with legal, establish transparency, reinforce your brand identity, and improve engagement rates, starting with your cookie banner. That's right, the first point of contact. Well, you're probably asking, how the hell do you do that? Here's a free checklist to walk you through message clarity, button layout, accessibility, optimization, and a step-by-step breakdown of everything you need to know. I partnered with Usercentrics to help designers understand how privacy-led design is the new standard of building products, especially in a world of new technologies like blockchain, AI, dealing with trillions of consumer data points. It's never been more important. You can download the cookie banner design checklist by scanning that QR code or heading to the comments below. Check their website for more resources. Okay, now back to the conversation.
Actually, it gets fired off as part of an automation when one of our designers internally gets a new contract signed. And so with every single contract that I drop that video, because it's a reminder of how do we do things at Numi.
It was so good that I really had to get you on to speak about them because I was like, oh, I agree with that. Let's talk about this, right? But I think we should start our conversation here with defining what the hell is a AAA designer.
So the first point, it's someone who's thinking about the problem as a stakeholder, not as someone that's contributing to the solution, right? And so when you kind of look at it in that way, suddenly your whole perspective as a designer changes. You're not just really focused on, okay, I'm gonna complete this checklist. Oh, they need to get this modal done. They need to make this color change. I need to componentize everything. It's really becoming about thinking like a founder and thinking about how do I weigh the customer experience with my own mental health as a designer with the experience that the business needs to operate. So in a nutshell, being a AAA designer is thinking like a founder.
I love that. I love that. Yeah, because so many ways, but like really kind of taking ownership of those three concentric circles that overlap, right? The business, the customer, and yourself, because without yourself, it kind of doesn't really make sense. Yeah, that just resonates with me. And I wish I found that out earlier in my journey. I think we all do, right? So the second point you mentioned was, I think versus it should be because. This one's quite interesting. Do you want to dive into that?
Yeah, of course. So for any designer that is working at Numi, they know that this is like my favorite bit. In my experience, the litmus test for gauging whether a designer is junior or senior is how they start off their sentences. So this is a behavior that you can start enacting today. It can span into the business world, but it can also very much span into your personal life as well, or with your friends. And don't forget, people, you can design your emotions, you can design friendships, you can design the world around you, right? So junior designers will start off sentences with, I think. It is subjective, it is for themselves, and it's starting from a place that's non-scientific. That is not design. It's worth noting that it's art when you start off a sentence with I think, and art is the substrate of design. But senior designers start off sentences with it should be because, and then they're pointing to that customer interview that they ran or they analyzed. They're pointing to that KPI. They're pointing to evidence. It's data driven. So junior designers start off with I think, which is subjective. Senior designers start off sentences with it should be because it is objective and it is data driven. There's evidence. It should be because X.
Damn, I absolutely love that. Okay, this one is interesting. Pen over pixel. How do you explain this to folks?
Figma does not make you a designer. Knowing how to do anything in Framer or Webflow does not make you a designer. Sketch, RIP if you're still using it. I know they still use it at Apple for privacy concerns, but pen over pixel is basically just kind of like this metaphor for ask 1,000 questions. For any juniors out there, Figma is not what's going to make you a designer. Anyone can learn something technical. Really what makes you a designer is asking the who, the why, the what, the where, the when, the how about the problem space. Actually, any design software is just an implementation detail. By the time that you hop into Figma or any design software, you should have a very, very good understanding of what it is that you're building so that you can leave the program as quickly as humanly possible and get back to the things that matter most. Researching, talking to customers, propagating design thinking throughout your organization, X, Y, and Z.
When we say pen over pixel, how much stock do you put into writing?
Like so many designers, including myself, I very much struggle with writing. My preferred medium is talking and high fidelity mocks, right? So writing is an essential tool. Even by virtue of you trying to get out your thoughts, expressing your ideas through thought is going to give you so much more clarity. Even if it looks like mumbo jumbo, go ahead to the free chat GPT version and say, please make sense of this, and ask me questions to clarify my train of thought. Pen over pixel is really just a way of saying, get clarity before you start on the high fidelity stuff and make more work for yourself, figuring out later on that like it's actually not what the customer wanted in the first place. But really, it's about wireframing with just a pen and paper. How good are we at listening, at asking questions, so that when we arrive at a design software, there's not guesswork, there's just execution. And so if you get yourself to a place where you understand the problem so well that you can just hop into the program, get it into a developer's hands, and then work with them so that you have more free time to go do what actually makes you a designer and actually makes you unfireable, which is talking to customers, looking at the data, some of these other points that I'm going to get to. That's really where the juice is, right? That's really where like your designer ethos is going to grow and flourish.
Okay, so is there a case for pixel over pen, or you like, hell no, pen over pixel all day?
I heard this wonderful quote, art is knowing when to call your work done. And so if you're a designer, I would lean on that inner artist of that substrate to figure out when you're actually done. Seeking perfectionism, that's not for you, dog. That's what happens when you find product market fit, PMF. You have earned that right to iterate. And figuring out what is the minimal viable product that I could ship today that will validate my product and my business operation. Typically, I'll go in and I only iterate maybe once or twice back in the day, but it's because I'm spending a lot of the time talking to my co-founder, talking to the dev team, and coming up with constraints, understanding their technology's limitations so that I don't make it harder for them to ship. The iteration phase, when you can really start to mess around with pixels, is when you get customer feedback saying like, hey, this is too hard, or the best is when you are coming up with a way to go and research, right? Basically what you want to do is you want to put yourself in a position where you are asking and observing. So if you reach out to a customer and you ask them like, hey, can I have some feedback? They're not going to want to hurt your feelings. So they're not going to give you very rich feedback. So you need to put that person in a position where they are open to giving you critical things that will make your product and you better. So what do? You prompt them. So if you're trying to get some knee-jerk reactions and feedback that's rich on your sign-up page, you're going to watch them, rage tap and scroll and put their hand on their head. And there might be some retinal vibration going around the screen and all this fun stuff. Then you're going to say like, hey, what was confusing about that? And so these open-ended questions, this type of feedback gives you the right to iterate. Otherwise, you're wasting your time, the customer's time, and you're definitely wasting the business's time.
Damn. Okay. I'm a believer. So you did mention talking to your engineering team.
Want to listen to the full conversation? Click the video on screen now. Subscribe to the channel if you want to join us live. Oh, wait. Okay, fine, you don't have to join us for the live stream, but if you like stuff like this, then click that subscribe button. I'll see you on the inside. Bye!